Howdy folks, I'm gonna make a video on how to make a speed loader for a tube fed 22. So I thought of this when I was heading to work the other day, Saturday morning actually. So I thought, if something to speed up the loading process, if you had a tube of some kind that you could put the bullets in. So this is what I came up with. Went to my parents' house after work and got some of my dad's old aluminum arrows. They all either had fletching coming off or the knock was busted, one thing or another. So I ended up measured the 22 shell itself lengthwise, which was about an inch. So my Marlin Model 60 there holds 18, my Henry's holds 16, so I figured I'd make them about 19 inches, give or take a little. And then I just cut off a piece of just a stick, and I stuck that in there for a plug. That's what that extra inch is for your plug. So that'll, keep your rounds in. So one thing that I did do with the ones that I've made so far, this is, can't remember how many I can fit in the rest of the shaft. I think it's like 8 or 10 or something. So what I do is I just hold it, this is just a scrap piece of leather. You could use cardboard, I suppose, or whatever you happen to have, felt. I'm just going to take a utility knife, just cut around that. So what I end up with is just that little piece. And what that's for is we're going to shove that down the shaft. And to ram it down, I'm going to use the shaft from a carbon arrow. These are too small a diameter to use for making the speed loader themselves, but they work really good for ramming that piece down. Now what that piece is for, whether you make it out of leather or probably use pieces of this fletching, is when you put these bullets in, you want to put them with the nose first. So when you dump them into the gun, they're in the right way. Well, what I found when you're dumping them in with the nose first is that last one will stick in there a lot of times, because this is kind of cone shaped at the bottom. So that piece of leather makes it so that last round will come out. I think I fit, I don't know how many is in there, I didn't count, but to load your gun now, you're going to want to hold it kind of at an angle so your opening doesn't spit them out. Last round kind of stuck, but now you got a loaded magazine. If you had one of the longer ones, you'd have a fully loaded magazine that fast if you had everything all prepped ahead of time. So, useful tool to have. So we're going to end up with 2, 3, 5. Yeah, fit 10 rounds in that smaller end of the arrow. So, that's all right. Actually 11. So yeah, you can fit 18 in this one and 11 in this one. So you make a few of these, load them up ahead of time, take them out to the range, and you will be able to shoot with having less time loading. Now to make the plug, I just took a regular stick, I think this was a maple, and I just shove it in there. And come out about 2 inches. And cut it off with a hacksaw. Now to cut the arrow itself, or whatever you're going to use, you can use a hacksaw. If you're using, like, I've seen tubing, kind of like what would be in a milk house, or like even some doctor's office would have some kind of tubing, like kind of like what an IV would be in, but a little bigger. You could cut that with a utility knife. You could use hacksaw for cutting these aluminum arrows. If you take a wire cutter or a needle nose with a wire cutter in it, you can just kind of apply light pressure and rotate that, and eventually you can just break it off, and it breaks off pretty flush. So then once I get that done, then I just taped a string to the shaft and to the plug, so that way you don't lose your plug. You could glue that on, you could drill holes in the plug and tie it. One arrow, I just tied it to the plug and then tied it to the arrow. I think that'll work just fine too if you have the tight enough knot. But there you have it. There's a homemade speed loaders for a tube-fed .22 rifle. Thanks for watching.